I'm Emily Boyer at WSHU Public Radio, and I am here with James Sinclair from Orchestra New England. James, please tell us a bit about yourself and the upcoming program you have.
Sure. I'm James Sinclair, and I conduct Orchestra New England, which is a New Haven-based organization that's in its 51st season. I started it in 1974. Uh, I also am the editor for the Charles Ives Society of his complete works in scholarly editions, so I wear an Ives hat a lot of time. On this concert that's coming up March 8th, it's a potpourri of things and wonderful collection of pieces. I'm always proud of making programs that I know are going to be interesting and they're going to also be substantial, and that in the end, there's an entertainment value to them. The first thing we're doing is a rarely heard work, and the last work by Jacques Ibert, a 20th century French composer, and it's an homage to Mozart. And following that, just a 5-minute piece and rather upbeat and fun, and a bit of a rondo. Tunes come back and back. Then we're turning to a French piece also by Ravel, and it's probably one of the first and most popular of his works, originally for piano and orchestrated later. We'll play the orchestral Pavane for a Dead Princess, an absolutely beautiful melody. It's not about a dead princess, and it's only sort of a pavane. Oh, well, moving on, we end the first half with a new song cycle by a friend of mine, Lori Laitman, a graduate of Yale undergrad and School of Music. She is a very gifted composer of vocal and choral music and operas. And this is a 4-part song cycle, really sumptuous, very beautiful, romantic in style and motivation, somewhere between Mahler and it's a little bit like Barber at times, a little bit like Copland's Emily Dickinson songs, but really just herself and very important music. So we're thrilled to be doing it. Thomas Cooley is the soloist, the tenor soloist in it. On the second half and ending the concert is Haydn's fabulous late Symphony 101, known well as The Clock. Second movement that ticks and talks. It's utterly charming and brilliant work. Dashing finale. Of course, it has terrific minuet. They all have terrific minuets. Second movement's that fun tick-tocky thing. So I know that this concert's going to meet my standards for a special kind of programming.
This is such an interesting potpourri of pieces, as you alluded to, and I'm curious how you built this program.
Well, I always am looking for 3 things, really. Elements that include substance. I want to do pieces that have value and quality to them. And I look then for sorting out contrasts, looking for works that fit together in a, broadly speaking, sort of going from fast to slow to fast to modulate the progress of the concert. And naturally, there are elements like looking for works that I haven't done, works that fit together with the logistics of the size of the group that's required. But ultimately, then the third thing is just that it's entertainment. We are doing some kind of gratification here, and it's got to be interesting to the players, challenging usually, and it has to be for the audience a package of things that they feel good about hearing, that it was well worth their coming out that night. And we just always end our concerts with a reception that includes everybody. So it's a social musical event together.
That'll be so nice. Have you performed music with Orchestra New England? Have you performed Lori Laitman's music before, or will this be the first time?
Yes, no, we have done several of her orchestral songs. Um, 20 years ago. I've known her for 50 some years. Uh, so about around year 2002, we did several of her songs. And I've gone with her to Cleveland, Colorado, places to hear her operas being done, and they're fantastic. This song cycle, I think, is really important music. And as I was saying, it's just quite, it meets everything. It's substantial. It gives us contrast. It has internal contrast, and it has a tremendous quality to it and entertainment value.
I think it'll be really exciting for people to hear this song cycle, especially, I think, am I right that this is the first performance of this newly sort of chamber orchestrated version?
It will be for the East Coast, but it
Oh,
was
great.
done on the West Coast just last year.
Ah, well, how nice for us on the East Coast that we get to hear it. Um, I think I'm super excited about that. And even just having chamber uh like song cycles with orchestra performed live. We really don't get to have that very much. And so I love that Orchestra New
That's
England is
right.
bringing that to us.
I think it is unusual, and I think the last time I did a song cycle was Rookie, the leader of Mahler, and
Hmm.
I think this follows upon that very well.
Yeah, sounds like it. And the program we've built around it is so interesting. Well, congratulations on what I'm sure will be a really exciting concert because the programming is really interesting. It'll be a fun journey for the audience. And I'm excited to share the interview that you've done, you and Lori, the conversation that you have done. And we'll lead into that right now. So thank you so much for your time, Jim.
Thank you, Emily. Hi, Lori. We've known each other for most of our lives.
A long, long time. It was either, I think it was 1972 when I met you, but
Yes, right. I came to New Haven, and you were a part of Yale undergrad at that time, and then did a graduate degree here at Yale, didn't you? School of Music.
yeah, yeah. At that point, I was totally a flutist. I didn't start composing until my sophomore year. So I guess right when I met you is when I started composing. But I don't really feel like the birth of my career happened until 1991 when I started setting poetry to music and writing for singers.
Right. That's when I was really aware, because you have an incredible gift for word setting. Your sensitivity to text is extraordinary.
Thank you. Well, it was something that I discovered when I wrote my first song. I was hesitant to write it, and my friend Lauren Wagner, who was a great soprano, forced me into writing music for her. And I wrote the first song, and it was like so easy, and it sounded better than anything I had ever written. So I just never stopped writing songs after that. And then I branched out into opera and other things. And you've always been so
Yes.
supportive.
You've done a number of operas. That's a very big project.
It is, but I think of my art songs as miniature operas, and I think of my operas as gigantic art songs. It's the same process for me, because I'm honoring the text and I'm trying to write beautiful and singable melodies for the singer that reveal something about the subtext of the text as well.
Well, tell me about Dana Gioia and how you connected there, because he writes extraordinary poetry, and I don't know, the public may know him more because he was the head of the NEA, the
Yeah.
National Endowment for the Arts, during the first decade while George W. Bush was president, I think. Yeah,
Yes.
how did you connect with him?
Well, I actually, a singer in Texas had called me and said, would I like to perform my songs at the White House with her because there was a new head of NEA and he loved art song and he loved women art song composers. That's when I first heard of Dana Gioia. And I thought, oh, it must be, I didn't even realize Dana's usually a woman's name. Didn't realize he was a man. Anyway, we met. I loved his poetry. He gave me permission to set it. And I think, I just never, he's been one of my longest collaborators. And um, we just finished our second opera together, which is premiering with Lyric Opera of Kansas City at the end of March. It's a
You're
children's
always busy. Oh, so end of March. So we'll be
opera.
doing this on March 8 at Battelle Chapel, and you'll be turning around to the premiere of your opera.
Well, even before that, I'm going to Las Vegas. University of Nevada, Las Vegas is doing The Three Feathers, another opera that I did with.
Oh, yes, right. Yeah.
So we're it's a busy month. But anyway, so I met Dana, and soon after I met Dana, my husband, Bruce Rosenblum, whom I met at Yale, also sophomore year, and the same time I met you, was turning 50, and I wanted to write a song cycle for his birthday. And so I picked these four poems. Dana had not envisioned them being together. I was the one who put them together to create a dramatic arc. And the centerpiece of the cycle is a poem called Pentecost, which Dana wrote after the death of his and Mary Joya's firstborn baby, who died from SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. So, the last song is really about it isn't that time heals all, but it's sort of along those lines, and I would say that, like all of my music, I aim to honor the words and I aim to create singable and beautiful melodies, which I mentioned. And I think that's a hallmark of my style, this lyricism that works well for singers.
Absolutely does. Beautiful stuff. Yes, Dana must be awfully thrilled to have such a perfect marriage, really, of your music and his words. I think it's magical.
It is a good association, and I'm thrilled as well. And in fact, Lyric Opera of Kansas City is also doing sort of, I guess you would call it a retrospective of our work together over the last 21 years. And they'll be premiering actually a new poem song based on Dana's poem called Majority, which he wrote when that infant who died when he was 4 months old would have been 21. And it was interesting because I had tried many, many times to set that poem. I thought it was a beautiful poem, but I couldn't figure out how to do it until about a month ago. And I just sat down, and it was an odd setting. It was very different sounding than much of my music. And I was worried, would Dana like it? Is it stupid? But I sent it to him and he loved it. And the kids, the young artists that are premiering it, were in tears, performing and practicing it. And so I think it's good. I consider it the sequel to Pentecost.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that he is, as a author, a fan of you as a composer
Oh, yeah.
because
Yes.
it's a very gratifying partnership. Uh,
Yeah.
and any musician needs great lyrics, composer needs great lyrics. And, he's your Hammerstein, handing you lyrics that work beautifully as music, and you unleash that. You show it. It's going to
Well,
be a terrific experience for the audience because these are beautiful poems, and the poems are in the program book for them. And we have a wonderful singer in Thomas Cooley who's going to be the
amazing.
tenor soloist for this. I think you said it as a soprano originally. Is that right?
Yes, originally it was for soprano and piano, but and originally actually I had orchestrated it way back in 2003, 2004 when I wrote it, or probably in 2004 after I wrote it. At that point, I was not a very good orchestrator, I would say, and fortunately, nobody ever did it. So in 2022, 20 years later or so, I decided to tackle it again and created this wonderful chamber
Yeah.
orchestration. And
It's a beautiful sounding chart, and the players of Orchestra New England are going to love playing it. And as you more or less grew up musically right here in New Haven with Battelle Chapel, that it's a really extraordinary place for sound, and we're going to revel in doing your song cycle.
Well, I am so fortunate for you and to have this great orchestra performing this, and Thomas Cooley is amazing, and I just can't wait. I do want to say something about the orchestration because as I honed my skills, one of the things I learned is that I didn't have to be bound by the piano and voice edition. I
Right.
created created new
It's
lines.
grown, hasn't it, from
Yeah, and
beyond the piano version? Yes.
yeah, so not only, with colors, but adding new layers of interpretation to the words with new
Mhm.
lines, and,
Yes,
and
there's word painting, instrumental color painting of the words in this cycle.
absolutely.
Very
Thing I
impressed with
do.
that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, anyway, this originated as a 50th birthday gift from my husband.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that was the origin of it.
Well, Bruce is a talented musician himself. I'm sure he was deeply gratified.
I hope so.